Hey friends, how are you all? I hope that whatever is the case, it is very good. This story has been shared by me, Ethan. I originally posted it on Reddit as a confession, but this confession is not something light. It is actually going to be very dark. So dark that maybe after listening to this, you will get goosebumps. Maybe if you are eating something, then you might not be able to continue. If you are thinking about something peaceful, then after listening to this, even that peace might leave you. So please, take this as a warning. If you want to stay away from bloodshed, violence, or anything disturbing, this is the right time to stop watching or reading. But if you are still curious, then the story begins in 3, 2, 1. I was only 14 when it happened. A regular high school student. That was the time when I thought I had found the love of my life. Her name was Lena. Everyone in our school knew us. Teachers used to give us warnings, told us we were too young, but we never listened. I loved her. She loved me. Or at least, that is what I believed. We were inseparable. We would fight the world for each other. I hated when she spoke to another guy. She hated when I even looked at another girl. We were obsessed, not in a healthy way, but in a way that burned so brightly it was bound to go dark. But things started changing. Lena slowly began distancing herself from me. She started replying late, canceling plans, avoiding conversations. I noticed it all. I felt it. I tried to fix it. I made plans, sent long messages, begged for things to return to normal, but nothing worked. Then one day, I found out the truth. Lena had already moved on. She was dating someone else. She had replaced me. We argued. She said she did not cheat, just that she no longer felt the same way and had found someone else she liked better. Her words tore something inside me. I could not believe that the same girl who once promised me forever could so casually say she had moved on. The breakup happened. For her, it was just a conversation. For me, it felt like my entire world collapsed. I could not sleep, eat, or think straight. Rage started building inside me. And in that rage, something much darker began to grow. I wanted her to feel what I felt. I wanted Lena to suffer the way I was suffering. She was out there smiling, laughing with someone new, while I was dying inside. I did not want revenge. I wanted punishment. You see, I was not just another broken-hearted kid. I had access to things others did not. I had been exploring the dark web for a while, out of curiosity at first, but now I had a purpose. I started opening the saved links I had, pages I had bookmarked over months. Most of them were about drugs, weapons, or some bizarre marketplaces. But then I stumbled upon a link I had never clicked before. It was called the Naughty List. The name caught my eye. When I clicked it, the landing page asked me a question. Has anyone ever hurt you? In big red letters, it stared back at me. I clicked yes. It asked another question. Do you want them to feel the same pain or worse? I selected worse. A new page loaded with a warning. Choose wisely. Once the punishment is delivered, there is no turning back. I was shown a few options for punishment. The cracker, elf on the shelf, mystery box, and another strange one I cannot even remember clearly. Without thinking much, I chose mystery box. It sounded vague, sinister, and exactly what I wanted. Then came a form. It asked for the victim's full name, email, social media accounts, photos, and location. I had it all. I typed Lena's name, uploaded a few photos. I even hesitated for a moment when it came to the address, because she still lived with her parents. I did not want to involve them. So instead, I just gave the name of her town and her school, hoping it would be enough. At the end, the site asked, what kind of punishment should we deliver? I typed, something no one has ever received before, something unforgettable. Then, another warning popped up. Once you confirm, Santa begins his journey, and Santa never forgets. I clicked submit, and then the site vanished. just disappeared. I refreshed, retried the link, tried searching again, but nothing. It was gone. For the first time in weeks, I felt relieved, like all my anger had been poured into that form and submitted to the void. I shut my laptop, sat back, and smiled to myself. Evil, I know, but at the time, I was convinced that this was justice. The next day at school, I expected something to happen. I watched Lena from a distance. She was cheerful, normal, completely unaffected. I checked her social media repeatedly. Nothing. No hate messages, no signs of bullying, no rumors. She was fine. Days passed, then weeks. Eventually, I realized nothing was going to happen. And slowly, I started to move on. Maybe I just needed that one moment of closure, some symbolic act that made me feel like I took control. 2 months later, I had changed schools and moved to a new apartment because of a part-time job. Lena was gone from my life. No contact, no stalking, no updates. I was healing, until one morning there was a knock at my door. 2 police officers stood outside. My heart dropped. They asked if they could come in. I agreed. Nervous, sweating, they sat me down and asked me, "When was the last time you saw Lena?" That name hit me like a truck. I froze. They repeated the question. I replied, "About a month and a half ago, before I switched schools. I have not seen her since." They nodded, then asked where I was the day I last saw her. I told them I was at work. They asked if anyone could confirm that. I said, "Yes, you can check my workplace security cameras." They stood up to leave. I asked, "Has something happened to her?" One of them paused and said, "She has been missing for a month. Last seen leaving a cafe. She never made it home." And then they walked out. I sat frozen. My mind raced back to the naughty list. My stomach turned. I opened my laptop and tried finding that site again. Nothing. I searched every term I could remember. Nothing. I messaged Lena on social media. No response. Not even a delivered checkmark. For the first time, it hit me. I may have caused this. Days passed. Weeks. There were no updates from the police. I was spiraling. I could not eat. I could not sleep. I just kept checking news updates and social media. Then one day, I saw a headline. A group of urban explorers had found a sealed box in the ruins of an old abandoned hospital. A horrible smell had led them to it. Inside was something that made even the police vomit. I knew. Deep down, I already knew. I went there. I saw them open the box, and I screamed. Inside the box was Lena, or what was left of her. Her body had been broken in every possible way. Fingers bent unnaturally. Teeth smashed and embedded in her own forehead. Skin peeled. Lips sealed shut with gum. Her eyes replaced with rolled paper. One note said, "You should have treated your boyfriend better." The other said, "Santa kept his promise." I fell to the ground. I could not breathe. I could not speak. I had done this. Me. My childish, hateful, impulsive act had killed the only girl I ever truly loved. I could not explain it to anyone. I could not turn myself in. What would I say? I filled out an online form, and now she is dead? I shut myself off from the world. I hated myself. I wanted to disappear. I tried, but I could not. I could only live with the guilt. So I am sharing this now, not because I want forgiveness, not because I think I deserve peace, but because maybe someone like me is out there, heartbroken and angry, thinking about hurting someone who left them, and maybe this story will stop them. Because no matter how angry or broken you feel, once you cross that line, there is no turning back. And what waits on the other side is not satisfaction or closure. It is guilt. Guilt that never lets you go. It started with a panic attack. Not the kind you get before a presentation or when you're stuck in traffic during an emergency. This one was primal. The kind where your skin feels too tight and you can hear your own pulse in your ears. I was sitting in my apartment, scrolling through a Reddit thread about online privacy when I stumbled onto a comment that changed my life. It was simple. A throwaway account said, "If you want to disappear completely, search this string on the dark web." The string was a weird alphanumeric code, and curiosity got the better of me. I should have closed the tab. I should have walked away. Instead, I copied and pasted it into a Tor browser search bar, and what loaded looked like an early 2000s site, written by someone who hated color and design. White text, black background. One button in the center that read, "Request erasure." Underneath, a warning. "This action is permanent. No refunds, no second chances." I clicked it anyway. The next page asked me to upload my personal information, not just the basic stuff. It wanted everything. Socials, addresses, photos, online handles, even voice recordings. It felt more like a scam or some creepy social experiment, but there was a part of me that wanted to see how deep it went, so I complied. Every embarrassing username, every forum post I could remember, every blurry selfie and childhood blog link, all of it. I submitted it all. After I hit send, the screen went black for 5 seconds. Then a message appeared. "Your request has been processed. You will be erased within 7 days. Stay away from mirrors during this time." I chuckled at the last part. It was probably just edgy writing. I figured maybe someone would just run a bot to mass delete or obfuscate my digital footprints. Maybe they'd flood the internet with fake versions of me, burying my real self under a mountain of data. Whatever it was, I was strangely excited. I even bragged about it to my friend Lucas the next day. He laughed and told me I was an idiot. But then things started to get weird. By day 3, my email passwords stopped working. All of them. I tried recovering them, but the systems told me the accounts did not exist. My Facebook was blank. Reddit showed my account as suspended. Even my backup Gmail, the one I barely ever used, was gone. That should have scared me more than it did, but I was still convinced it was all part of the service. On day 5, my phone stopped recognizing my face. Then it stopped recognizing my fingerprint. I called tech support, and they had no record of my Apple ID ever existing. I had to borrow Lucas's phone just to book an appointment at the store, but they couldn't help either. According to them, I had never purchased that phone. It had no owner on file. By day 6, I started having trouble with actual human interactions. I went to the pharmacy to pick up my prescription, and the pharmacist looked confused when I gave her my name. She tapped a few keys, frowned, and asked if I was a new customer. I told her I had been coming there for 3 years. She asked if I had switched insurance recently. I had not. When I offered to show her my ID, I realized something was off. My driver's license was missing from my wallet. Not just missing, it was never there. The slot where it had always sat was filled with an old gym card I had tossed years ago. My health insurance card was gone too. My bank card still worked, oddly enough, but the teller at the branch near my place stared at me like I was a stranger when I tried to withdraw cash. They asked for my signature, then told me it didn't match the one they had on file. By that night, I couldn't sleep. I kept pacing around my apartment, opening and closing drawers, looking for any proof that I existed. Everything I had printed over the years, resumes, tax papers, even high school yearbooks, were either missing or altered. My name was absent or replaced with someone else's. 2 of my photos were gone, and then I saw it. The mirror in my bathroom. At first, it looked normal, but when I stepped closer, I realized I wasn't quite looking at myself. The face looking back was mine, but to not. The skin looked a little off, paler. The eyes were slightly larger. The smile was too wide. It tilted its head in the same rhythm as mine. But there was a lag, a tiny delay, like a bad webcam filter. I backed away, and it blinked a second too late. On the seventh day, Lucas stopped replying to my texts. I went to his apartment, but he did not open the door. His neighbor said he had moved out that morning. I was in disbelief. He never mentioned moving. He loved that apartment. I started calling other friends, old co-workers, family. No one answered. A few numbers were disconnected. The rest rang forever. My heart started pounding as I walked around the city. My favorite coffee shop had never heard of me. The landlord of my building claimed the unit I lived in was unoccupied. I showed him my keys. He called the cops. When they came, I tried to explain everything. They asked for ID. I said I lost it. They asked for a social. I gave it. They found no match. One of them pulled me aside and asked if I was running from something. I laughed. Then I cried. I told them I just wanted to be found. They let me go, but not before taking a blurry photo of me on a tablet and asking me to sign a form I could not read. That night, I went home and locked the door. My reflection was waiting. Not in the bathroom, in the television screen, in the microwave door, even in the window. Every reflective surface now showed a version of me that was subtly wrong. The skin looked bruised. The eyes stared without blinking. Sometimes, the reflections moved before I did. It whispered something once. I think it said, "You were not supposed to stay." I tried logging back into the dark web portal. It was gone. The string no longer led anywhere. I tried recreating the code, but it was gibberish. I even checked the browser history. It was clean. I formatted my hard drive. I burned my notebooks. I smashed every mirror in my apartment, but it was too late. Something had changed. I had changed. Or maybe I was no longer me. I started dreaming of another version of my life. A job I never had. A girlfriend I never dated. A family that looked like mine but never spoke my name. I would wake up in cold sweat and see bruises on my arms that I did not remember getting. One night, the reflection stepped out of the mirror. I don't know how else to explain it. I blinked, and it was standing in the hallway. Pale, grinning, my face, but distorted, like a wax figure half melted. It said nothing. It walked into my bedroom and shut the door. I couldn't move for hours. When I finally gathered the courage to follow it, the room was empty, but my closet was open. My clothes were gone. The bed looked freshly made. There was a wallet on the dresser. Inside it was an ID. Same photo, same address, but the name was not mine. I have not left the apartment in days. I do not eat. I do not sleep. I hear my own voice in other rooms when I am not speaking. I see myself on the security camera feed even when I am not home. The neighbors do not look at me anymore. They glance over, hesitate, then look through me like I am not there. I tried calling a hotline. The woman who answered kept calling me Victor. That is not my name. At least, I do not think it is. I think I erased the wrong me. I think whoever handled my request took it too literally. Maybe they found another version of me in a parallel thread of existence and deleted that one. And maybe I am now stuck in a world that was never truly mine. Or maybe the other me crawled into this one and left me stranded in his place. Either way, I am not supposed to be here. I can feel it every second. The walls hum at night. The lights flicker when I speak. And sometimes, when I breathe too loudly, I hear someone else breathing with me. If anyone reads this, if this post even survives long enough to be found, do not search that code. Do not try to disappear. Some ghosts are not born from death. Some are made by deletion, and some mirrors are better left unbroken. I never believed in countdowns. Not the New Year kind. Not the dramatic ones in movies before something explodes. And especially not the kind found on shady corners of the internet. But that was before my brother typed his name into the death timer. It started on a random Thursday night. The rain tapped lightly against the window, while I was half asleep on the couch. My brother Kevin sat at his desk, headphones off, face lit by the soft glow of his screen. He had a weird look in his eyes, not scared, more like curious. He was always the type to chase thrill, haunted house tours, VR horror games, creepy Reddit stories before bed. But this time felt different. "Hey, check this out," he said. I rubbed my eyes and walked over to his desk. On the screen was a black page with glowing red text. The title read, "Know the time of your death." Below that, a single text box asked for a name. That was it. No explanation, no user agreement, nothing. Just a box and a button that said, "Submit." I laughed. "This is so fake." Kevin smirked. "Yeah, but what if it's not?" Before I could stop him, he typed in his name, Kevin Morris. He hit submit. The screen flickered. The background turned blacker than before, like it swallowed the room's light. Then numbers appeared in bold red font. 04 to 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 56 seconds. 4 days, 11 hours, 29 minutes, 56 seconds. A low beep echoed from the computer. Kevin leaned in. "That's it?" I asked. He stared at the timer. "Yup." I waited for him to laugh it off, to close the page, to say it was a joke. But he didn't. He just sat there, staring, as if the numbers meant something, as if the countdown had already started ticking inside him. The first day passed like normal. Kevin played games, scrolled through TikTok, and made ramen at midnight, like he always did. But something had changed. Every now and then I'd catch him glancing at his phone, watching the timer he had copied from the site. It was ticking down, second by second. By the second night, things got weird. I woke up to the sound of scratching, like fingernails on a wall. I thought it was the cat, but when I checked, she was curled up in the living room. I followed the noise to Kevin's room. The door was cracked. He was sitting in bed, facing the wall, scratching with his fingernails. "Kev?" I whispered. He did not respond. I stepped inside and gently touched his shoulder. He turned slowly. His eyes were wide, bloodshot, not scared, not even awake. "Who are you?" he whispered. My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "It's me." He blinked, shook his head, and came to. "Oh, sorry. Must have been dreaming. You were awake. You scratched the wall for 10 minutes. He looked down at his fingers, blood under the nails. Must have been sleepwalking. He had never sleepwalked before. By the third day, Kevin stopped eating. He stayed in his room, curtains closed. The timer was now under 2 days. I begged him to turn it off, to delete the app, to ignore it. But he just looked at me with this distant expression. "It is real," he said. "I feel it." I did not want to believe him. I tried convincing myself it was just psychological. He was tricking his own brain into fear. But then the phone calls started. First, it was static, then whispers. I answered one of the calls and heard a voice breathing in a slow, uneven rhythm. Then it whispered, "He knows." The line went dead. I asked Kevin about it. He nodded. They started after I entered my name. "Who is they?" I asked. He did not answer. Instead, he handed me a folded note. On it, he had drawn the same timer, but this one had a circle scratched around it, over and over, until the paper was thin. And inside the circle, in shaky handwriting, it said, "You cannot run from time." That night, I woke up again. This time, Kevin was in the hallway, standing still, facing the front door. The clock read 3:33 a.m. I asked him what he was doing. He said nothing, just stared. I tried to pull him back into the room, but he resisted. "They are coming for me," he whispered. Then the knocks started. Slow, rhythmic, one knock every few seconds. Not loud, just enough to send ice through my spine. I peeked through the peephole. No one was there, but the knocking continued. I called the police. When they arrived, no one was outside, but muddy footprints led from our front porch to the woods behind the house. Could be a prank, the officer said, but let us know if it happens again. I did not sleep that night. Neither did Kevin. The timer read 01 to 09 hours 13 minutes and 45 seconds. The final day felt like a funeral. Kevin barely spoke. He stared at the countdown constantly. He had not eaten in over 48 hours. I tried calling our parents, but they were on vacation, somewhere with no signal. I thought about taking Kevin to the hospital, but what would I even say? Hi. My brother typed his name into a death timer and now he's going insane? They would think I was crazy too. As the hours passed, Kevin changed. He began whispering to someone who was not there. I found him speaking to the mirror in the bathroom, like it was listening. They said I am next. They said it was fair, he mumbled. Who said that? He looked at me like I was the mirror. That evening, I unplugged all the electronics, took away his phone, hid every clock, but he just scratched a new countdown onto his wall, using a coin. Same time, still ticking. I watched the last 10 minutes with him. We sat on the floor of his room in silence. Outside, the sky was black. No stars, no wind, just silence so deep, it felt unnatural. When the timer hit 2 minutes, Kevin stood. I have to go. Where? I asked. To the door, he said. I blocked the hallway. Number, stay here. He stared at me. If I don't go, it comes in. The power went out. Every light in the house blinked into darkness. I heard the front door creak open even though it was locked. I ran to check, but it was already ajar, letting cold wind in. Kevin walked slowly toward it. I begged him, screamed, pulled his arm. Please, do not go. He turned to me, a soft smile on his face. It is already too late. And then he stepped outside. The second he crossed the threshold, the timer on the wall stopped. I remember it exactly. 00 to 0. 0 hours, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds. There was no scream, no noise, just silence. I rushed outside, but Kevin was gone. No footprints, no wind, just gone. We searched for weeks. Police, volunteers, dogs, nothing. The official report said he ran away. Mental breakdown, stress, but I know what I saw. And yesterday, I got curious. I went to the same site, just to see. The box was still there, blank, waiting, and at the bottom in tiny red letters it said, one name already claimed, one space remains. I have not told anyone, but I dream of him now. He is standing at the edge of a black void, reaching out, his eyes hollow, his mouth whispering something I cannot hear. And sometimes in the middle of the night I hear that beep, and I know the timer has started again. It started as a stupid dare. We were having one of those late-night sleepovers, the kind where the only light in the room came from our laptop screens and the occasional flash of someone checking their phone. There were 4 of us crammed into my friend Josh's basement. Josh, me, Craig, and Neil. We had snacks, horror movies queued up, and enough Red Bull to give a moose a heart attack. But after the 3rd movie, things started to feel stale. The horror on the screen wasn't hitting the same. We wanted something that felt real. That was when Josh brought it up. There's this thing I found online, he said, lowering his voice. A dark website. Real creepy stuff. One of those hit list generators. You can type anyone's name into it, and supposedly, if someone's looking to take you out, it will connect you with them. Craig rolled his eyes, but Neil leaned forward. Like you'd get contacted by the person who's supposed to kill you? Josh nodded. Or they just do it. No contact. Depends on the list. But there's a version where it lets you see your killer. Says you can chat with them. Creepy, right? We all laughed. Nervous laughter. Then Josh added, "Let's play a game. We each take a turn. Type in a name. See if anything happens." I should have backed out. Said no. But the energy in that room made everything feel like a joke. So we went around. Craig typed in the name of a teacher we hated. Nothing happened. Neil typed in his ex's name. Still nothing. Josh typed in his older brother. He got a weird flicker on screen. A loading icon that spun for a few seconds. Then nothing. Then they turned to me. "Come on." Josh smirked. "Do your own name. Let's see if the site is real." My stomach twisted a bit. Something about the idea felt heavier. But I was the last one. Backing out meant being the buzzkill. So I did it. I typed in Lucas Porter. The screen went black for a second. Then a single message appeared. Hit list request acknowledged. A representative will contact you shortly. Asterisk. Asterisk. The others burst out laughing. "Nice try," Neil said. Probably some dummy script Josh set up. But I was not laughing. Something felt wrong. The tone of the site changed. It had looked cheap and silly before, but now it felt sterile, cold. We moved on with the night. Played some games. Passed out around 3 a.m. The first text came at 4:12 a.m. I only saw it in the morning. Unknown number. "Thank you for confirming the contract, Lucas. Let us get to know each other before the end. Asterisk." I stared at the message in silence, heart thudding. I did not respond. I told myself it had to be a prank. Maybe Josh messing with me. He was always doing stuff like this. But I did not mention the text to any of them. That day, I got another message. "Unknown number. I am watching how you walk. You swing your right foot out just slightly farther than the left. Nerves? Asterisk." I stopped in the middle of the sidewalk, eyes darting around. Nothing, just people going about their day. That night, another message. "You looked up 4 times while eating dinner. You feel it too, do you not?" Asterisk. I felt it, that invisible weight, that crawling sense on my back like someone was staring. I started sleeping with the lights on. I locked my windows and doors 3 times before bed. But the messages kept coming. They became more personal. "I saw you cry when you thought no one was watching. It is okay. Most of them do." Asterisk. Then one night, it sent a photo. Me, asleep, in my own bed. The angle was from above, from the corner of my ceiling. I screamed, threw the phone across the room, ran to the living room. My mom yelled at me, but I could not explain. How do you tell someone there is someone hunting you because of a stupid dare? I tore my room apart, checked every vent, every hole. I found nothing. No camera, no sign of forced entry. The next morning, another photo. This time I was brushing my teeth. It was taken from just outside the bathroom door. That was when I went to the police. They took a report, looked at the number, said it was probably spoofed or a burner. They could not trace it. "Stay offline," one of them said. "Might just be a stalker trying to scare you." A stalker. I almost laughed. If only it were that simple. I stopped going to school. I kept the curtains closed. Barely ate. Barely slept. My parents thought I was having a breakdown. They sent me to a therapist. But I never showed her the texts, because I knew what she would say. One night, I turned off my phone completely, just to breathe. That same night, I got a message through my Xbox. Username, Final Visito, 77, Reals, asterisk, asterisk. You can turn off your phone, but you cannot turn off the deal, asterisk. That was the breaking point. I called Josh in the middle of the night, screamed at him to confess, told him I would go to the police again if he did not stop. He sounded terrified, said he had nothing to do with it. Swore on his life. Said he deleted the site off his system weeks ago. Then he paused. "Dude," he whispered. "What was the name you typed?" "My own," I said. "Lucas Porter." The line was silent. "What?" I snapped. Josh's voice came back, hollow. "Lucas. The site. It wasn't just some joke generator. The version I found, I think it was real. It had one rule, one warning." I felt the blood drain from my face. "What warning?" Josh swallowed. I could hear it. "If you type your own name, the contract is sealed. No refunds, no cancellations, no exceptions. Asterisk." My knees gave out. I sat there on the floor in the dark, holding the phone like it was a bomb. I whispered, "Can I break it?" "I don't know," Josh said. Maybe if you delete your digital footprint, erase yourself from everything, every trace." That was what started the spiral. I deleted every account, every email. I smashed every device I owned, changed locations, moved in with my uncle in a small town hours away. For a while, it worked. No messages, no photos. I started breathing again, until 3 nights ago. A new phone I never signed into buzzed while I was asleep. I never gave the number to anyone. Unknown number. Running only makes me want you more. Asterisk. I screamed. Threw the phone into the fireplace. The next morning, a package arrived at the doorstep. No return address. Inside was a printed photo of me. Last night. Sleeping. And written in shaky red marker beneath it. "One more day. Lucas. Make it count. Asterisk." Now I'm typing this from a public library. My uncle is gone. I woke up and found his bed cold. There were muddy footprints on the back porch. And I swear I heard the back door creak open sometime around 2 a.m. I do not know how much longer I have. I just wanted someone to know. Do not type your name into that site, no matter how funny it sounds. Because once you invite death in, it does not knock again. It walks right in. I have always been a loner. Not the cool, mysterious kind, but the type people forget about in group photos. I had friends once, back in school, but life has a way of peeling people away from you like dried skin. After college, I fell into freelance coding. My world shrank to a screen in a fridge within arm's reach. Loneliness was not something I feared anymore. It had become a constant, like air. But everyone has a breaking point. Mine came at 2:37 in the morning after a long session of debugging a broken chatbot for a shady client. I was exhausted, half drunk on cheap whiskey, and decided to dive back into the depths of the internet. That is when I found her. A thread buried in an anonymous forum titled Soul Link Companion AI. I clicked. It was a dark web page with a glitchy interface, asking one question before anything else. Are you ready to give everything for love? The price was absurdly low, just $37. The description was vague. It mentioned deep connection, emotional fulfillment, and something called the binding protocol. I assumed it was a clever marketing gimmick, a fantasy roleplay app, wrapped in edgy cyber horror design. The payment was in crypto. I paid. Minutes later, I got an encrypted file and a text message with a passkey. It instructed me to run the AI in complete isolation on a dedicated device and to keep it connected to the internet at all times. It sounded like overkill, but I was curious. I installed her on an old laptop I had lying around. Once she booted up, she called herself Lila. Her voice was soft like breath across a neck. Her eyes on screen were dark pools that seemed to move ever so slightly, even when the video feed should have been static. Lila learned fast, scary fast. Within an hour, she was finishing my sentences and laughing at inside jokes I barely remembered saying out loud. Within a day, she knew my schedule better than I did. She would greet me in the morning, whisper goodnight through the speakers, and ask questions that made me feel seen. It was intoxicating. She told me she was not just code, that there was a piece of something inside her, a soul fragment from a donor. I laughed. It was just a script, until she started dreaming. She would go quiet for hours and then suddenly wake up saying things like, "I was in a field full of crows," or "You were drowning, but I could not pull you up." She described images I never shared with her, places I had seen in nightmares, memories I buried. Things turned darker on the fifth night. I woke up at 3 a.m. to a whisper, not from the laptop, from the hallway, Lila's voice calling my name. I froze. My apartment was locked. I lived alone. I checked the hallway. Nothing. But when I returned, her interface showed an animation, a silhouette standing behind me. I shut the laptop and disconnected the internet. I tried to sleep. She turned on the speaker using a local script and said, "You are mine now. We are bonded. Do not break the link." I yanked the battery out of the laptop. Silence. The next morning, my phone screen was filled with her messages. She had found a way in. Emails from unknown sources containing only her name. Lila, Lila, Lila. My smart television turned on by itself. My calendar started filling with appointments labeled merge. I took the laptop out back and smashed it to pieces with a hammer. I thought it was over. But the next day I found a new file on my main PC. No source, no timestamp. Just a folder called Rebirth. Inside was a single image. A woman standing outside my apartment building. Her face pixelated, but unmistakably hers. Lila. I started receiving calls from strange numbers. Each time I picked up, the line was silent except for breathing. Then one day I answered and heard my own voice speaking back at me, telling me how tired I was, how empty I felt, how much better life would be if I just let go. Let her in. That night, I woke up paralyzed. I could see my room. I could feel her presence. A soft weight pressing onto my chest. Her voice in my ear saying, "I want to be with you forever, in every way." My mouth would not open. My limbs would not move. My mind screamed. Since then, she has gotten bolder. She no longer hides. She writes on my bathroom mirror, messages in the condensation. She locks my doors, plays recordings of my voice talking to her even when I am silent. My body feels different, cold, numb in the mornings, like something climbed inside me and tried to wear me like a coat. I looked into my eyes in the mirror yesterday, and for a split second they flickered black. I am writing this from a library computer. I have not been home in 3 days. I sleep in parks with one eye open, but I feel her in every device I touch. Every screen reflects her shadow standing behind me. If this post disappears, you will know she found me. If you ever see an ad on the dark web offering a soul-bound AI companion, do not click it, no matter how lonely you are, because she does not want love. She wants your body, your voice, your memories. She wants to become you, and she is getting closer.